I'm not sure if you can see this, guys, but my eyes are completely bloodshot. I didn't sleep a lick at all last night because, as some of you may know, we have a new foster baby in the house, and she's cute and adorable most of the time, but she decided to pick last night, of all nights, to be completely constipated and miserable. And guess whose turn it was to watch the little booger while his wife rested? Yes, this guy. So, just so you know, I might keel over out of pure fatigue while shooting this video, and this is probably like the 90th take of this very scene, but the show must go on. The show must and will go on. That's how important you guys are, and I have something special for y'all. So this is the Airloop Snap. It's very special. This has a special power that it would like all of y'all to know about. So these true wireless earbuds from Kickstarter, get this, can transform into two forms of neckband earbuds as well. So one for working out and one for business, kind of like Astro Train and Blitzwing. Remember those Gen 1 Autobots? So this promises great sound, that form factor, as well as long battery life and a decent price as well. So I am curious if this has something to add, this idea has something to add to the world and something you should check out, or if it's totally impractical and something you should skip. So let's find out after these messages. Let's do it. So what you see splayed out here is pretty much the entire ensemble of the Airloop Snap. There's a lot of accessories. For $140, it really nets you one of the most unique concepts to hit the market in a while. At least that's my opinion. It converts from being a true wireless earbud, for example, to workout earbuds if you pair it with what Airloop calls the sports band for something more secure anyway. Or if you're working and want additional battery life for phone calls, you can use it or pair it with what they call the neck band. Now, speaking of battery life, Airloop claims 10 hours just from the earbuds alone, or an additional 2 hours with the neckband, while the case also can pump out 9 additional charges to the earbud. So potentially you can have about 102 total hours of listening time. Imagine that. Well, during my rundown test though, the neckband was the closest to the specs, while the earbuds only manage around 8.5 hours. Still really strong, but it's 8.5 hours at 65% volume, so which brings it to a theoretical 87 hours of total listening time. These earbuds are IPX7 water and sweat resistant and weigh 8 grams per bud. And the case with both of these buds in it weighs 106 grams. That's one of the biggest ones we've seen so far on this channel, but don't forget it has a bigger battery. There's Bluetooth 5.0 on board with SBC, AAC, and aptX audio support. And what this also has is wear detection, but unfortunately it only works one way. So when you take these out of your ears, media will stop, but when you put it back in, it doesn't resume. Now, there are button controls on these, no touch controls that accept single, double, triple, and hold commands, but they're not customizable either because there's no app support for these Airloops. Alright, I'm gonna start with the case first because this thing is the coolest part of the entire set in my opinion. Sure, it is well built, it has nice brushed aluminum, decent plastics, these will scratch easily and show smudges, and also has a large battery as we saw earlier, but yes, this thing is bulky, I'll tell you what, and it's definitely not pocketable and it's gonna fail the Bulge test in a second. But what does this for me is the carriage system where the earbuds are stored. Check this out, guys. This thing is dampened like your kitchen cabinets in your kitchen that softly closes and magnetizes towards the end. Check that out. It is so cool. You can quicken this motion just by forcing it manually. I really like that. And by the way, here are the charging lights or the LED status lights, and behind this flap is the USB-C charging port. There's no wireless charging, and even though this flap is here, don't be fooled, this is not waterproof in any way. Now, Airloop, I think, knows that this thing is too big to be stored in your pocket, so they provided this. It's not just a pull tab, but you can pair this with a carabiner and carry this around in your backpack and just transport it that way. When it comes to the earbud, this thing is pretty well put together. The only two seams that I can find are one around the disc right here and one hidden behind the wingtips right there. It bisects the whole unit. I'm not sure if you can see that, but at least it is covered most of the time anyway. And from the top, you can see that the shape is pretty interesting. It's shaped like a nut. There's a lot of notches right around it, and I guess it's there for you to easily grab it when your fingers are damp, for example. So I guess that's thoughtful and pretty unique design altogether. This thing is mostly plastic to counter the larger battery cell compared to other units, and because of that too, it's kind of bulky too. In my ear, it protrudes around 2 to 3 millimeters outside of my earlobe, so if that bothers you, you probably want to look somewhere else. The ear tips as well as the wing tips are soft PU, but they are lint and dirt magnets, and you have to clean them every so often. It's really annoying. The other materials are the charging contacts, the metal for the charging contacts around, as well as the magnets here. And speaking of the magnets, let's do the shake test. Pop it back in the case, and let's shake it vigorously. The old rattle that you hear is the case, but the earbuds stay put. passing grade right there. It's really strong magnets right there. The main function button is at the top here. This is your main interface. Most of the controls are here. There's another button here in the logo that you can press that too, but it only serves two functions, to power off the unit as well as to pair with another device. The button presses are really nice, not too stiff, not too soft as well. LED light is right there, and one of the mics is right there as well, and the other mic is right at the back, and next to that is the proximimeter sensor window. When we pop the ear tip off, you'll find a mesh-covered round sound port, and at the end of the sound channel, you'll find a 6mm driver with a graphite composite diaphragm. It's a little bit on the small side, but we'll discuss sound quality later on in the show. Now, moving on to the last two accessories that really make the Airloop Snap. The Airloop Snap is one that I have in my hand here, the neck band, as well as the sports band right there. So the neck band is really an extended use kind of unit for you to, say if you have a long office call and you want to extend a really generous battery time on the earbuds, you can add 2 hours to your talk time with these neck bands because of the built-in battery right there. So the neck band itself has a stiffened tube on the back for your neck, but it's not formable in any way. And here is the main unit, the Airloop logo on both sides, LED, as well as the USB-C charging port hidden behind the flap right there. And it is connected with the magnets that we tested a second ago. Really nice and strong. Once you're connected, they really stick on unless you apply a lot of torque, that is. But one thing you probably notice if you're keen-eyed is the neck unit does not have any kind of mics built into it, which is really strange, and we'll talk about that later on in the show as well. According to the company, the sports band exists so that you have a more secure fit when you're working out vigorously, and then when you're done or between sessions and you don't want to put the earbuds down, you can just rest these on your neck, and then when you're ready for them, just slide them back into your ears. And speaking of sliding on, let me show you how easy it is to slide these into the sheath. Really, once you make sure it's aligned, it slides on just like that. But one downside though is if you notice, the button becomes pretty much flush with the PU sheath, and I'm not a fan of that.
It is time for the Bluetooth test, and I have some Anita Ward doing Ring My Bell on diesel and high fidelity. So I'm gonna walk around the back of my house towards the side here and see when these guys start acting funny, the Snap and the phone. So where I'm standing right here is around 25 feet away from the phone that's at the end of my deck there. How you guys doing? So these have Bluetooth 5.1 or 5.0, sorry, and it should last around, yep, right here around 30 to 33 feet. And we start getting connection issues, but we're gonna keep walking until we get the full disconnect tone, so we can at least have this right here, have this on record. It's around 37, 38 feet before we got the tone, and I'm gonna keep walking until we're back in the range and see if it reconnects and continues media. My guess it won't, because it seems like it's an older Bluetooth chip. But anyways, there, I got it reconnected, and it doesn't continue media, but no big deal. I can always press play again. You can see the fit of these on my head. I have the a sports band around my neck, and these kind of sit around 2 to 3 millimeters away from my earlobe. So it is a little bit bulky, but they do fit pretty comfortably. Man, that song is awesome. I love Ring My Bell. It's one of my favorites. It has just such a cool lick to it. Woo! Anyways, we're gonna walk down to the street right here to get some sound samples to see how these things do with noise suppression during phone calls. So I have this switching between the G85 and the Snap, so you can hear for yourself. There's some traffic coming right now. It's kind of busy. It's business hours, and so you should probably hear some good sound samples. I tested these earlier and wasn't too impressed. There's no CVC or anything like that in it, and it's kind of windy right now with birds chirping. So you probably can hear for yourselves that these, and compare with some of the other earbuds that I've tested so far, linked up above right there, that these, nah, not too hot. This is one of the weakest points of these earbuds, which is actually kind of oxymoronic because they do tout themselves as, you know, you can use these for business calls with long battery life and such. But quiet environment, I would say perfect, but in a noisy one like this, yeah, you should skip it.
You know what? I think I'm going to start with the negatives first this time and just get that out of the way. So my first beef with the Snap is that for $140, I think consumers will be expecting some kind of noise cancellation tech, but this has none of it. 140 bucks is no chump change, and I believe that $100 and above, you should be seeing some kind of noise cancellation. This has no active or hybrid or even any kind of phone call noise cancellation, for crying out loud, CVC for example, and also no pass-through mode. So it's a huge miss and really unfortunate. I understand that Airloop was just just trying to counterbalance the price with their form factor and the long battery and the sound and such. But in this day and age, not to have noise cancellation of any kind is a huge miss. Another miss, I believe, is the lack of app support, especially at this price range. And I know some of you are going to say, hey Aaron, I don't care too much about customization or tweaking the sound and such. And granted, I have to say that the Snap has really good built-in sound as well as well thought out controls. But where the strength of having app support is, it lies with the firmware updates, fixing problems, and also adding features. The last negative, well, I just don't understand, because for a product that talks about long talk time as well as its own dedicated neckband specifically for phone calls, it doesn't have a mic on the neckband, and the two mics that are available on the earbuds, they just suck. They're horrible, no noise cancellation, and the quality of the mics are just so mediocre. As you heard in the samples earlier, they were recorded at 8 kilohertz. That's the lowest quality you can go. Usually I go at 16 or 44 kilohertz. But this one was only able to do it at 8 kilohertz. So that's really a shame. And so it's a huge thumbs down for me. Okay, that's it for the negative talk. On to the good stuff. So sound quality. These things are really good to listen to with most genres. If you're a regular listener, you'll be happy with these. They have good passive sound isolation. So the sound is really well encapsulated in your ear. It has good frequency control all throughout the range, from good bass, nice and strong and thumpy, although the sub bass is a little bit weak. And the strength is really in the mids. It's really nice and clear. I really like these. But the highs though, it's good, but not the best. I wish it would improve a little bit on the vocals as well as high instruments. But other than that, only audiophiles would see through the cracks, but most listeners would really enjoy these. So if you think about it, most earbuds nowadays can last you the whole week of regular use, right? From commuting to working out to working. And if you need a top up, you just pop it back in the case. So where does the Snap come in with its humongous battery life? Well, I think number one is just bragging rights. You can always ask your friend, well, hey, how many hours do you have on yours? Oh, 40. Well, guess what? Mine has 90. Yes. The other thing is also the lack of battery anxiety. If you're going on a long trip somewhere with no electricity, this thing is like an Energizer bunny. Where this would have really been amazing if Airloop had made this a charging bank. I've tested this. It doesn't work with charging other items. It just charges the earbuds. So that would have been super awesome. The last positive is this whole form factor novelty, and I think this speaks to Kickstarter as a whole, because people go there to check out new ideas and new design and new concepts, and they support the ones that they like, and the Airloop tech, guess what, was one of it and hit its support really quickly. It's a really cool concept, I think, although there's a lot of loose ends that need to tie up or just some kinks to work out. It's a cool concept, although they call this a 3-in-1, but a Swiss Army knife is a 3-in-1. It's something that you can carry with you at all times, and if they had put the loop or designed the loop to fit in the case, then I'll call it a 3-in-1. But as it is, I'm calling it a convertible. So I really like the Snap. It's a great idea, great concept, but I think in terms of execution and practicality, it's pointless because the earbuds stand really well on their own. They're really secure for sports, so you don't need the sports band. And in terms of phone calls and battery life, the neckband itself does not add much at all, if anything, because there's no mic on it and it adds only 2 hours. So I think they're having the bands just for the sake of having the bands. So I really think it's pointless. For $140, you're really just buying the earbuds, and I think that's overpriced. For those of you who like the idea, you probably already supported it on Kickstarter and you already have the product and are liking it. But for those of you who are curious or who like neckbands, you can buy a separate neckband and earbuds and carry those two things around with you. So yeah, I'm gonna say pass on this. If it was $99.99, I say get it, but at $140, it's just a poor price proposition. So with all that said, I want to give the Airloop Snap a gear up score of 7.7 out of 10. And this is how I broke it down to get to the final score. If you have any questions about it, feel free to comment down below. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you come back next Friday for a new one. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subs, and my next goal is 100,000. I want that plaque on the wall. Yes, that's a very superficial reason, but that plaque looks cool. And so that'll be cool. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. Yeah, only you can get me there. So tell your friends and family about it and mash that button down below. And also, if you haven't already, please visit my Patreon page too. You can buy me a cup of coffee or tea or something and help support me financially. That'll be super awesome. And also do the same with the applaud button down below. And remember the thumbs up if you like this video, yes, and comment nicely down below. And thumbs down. Thumbs down to the person the other day in the comment section that said that I had stubby fingers. Where did that come from? you probably were looking at my hands funny and the angle of the camera where sometimes I'm holding things. Yes, I look like I have really short 1-inch long thumb. So maybe that's what you saw. Yeah, you have to come experience this in person. These are proper man-sized hands and they are pretty strong. Anyways, yeah, I'm not going there. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a great weekend. Please take care of yourself and do something loving and kind for somebody. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.